Hey everyone, we're getting excited and we are going to start a new subject in Unit 1 of American History. And Unit 1 of American History is actually geography of North America. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why do I need to know geography if we're doing American history? Well, it's pretty important. Um, we're going to learn about a lot of different things that are going to happen within our country and in our continent. And we need to know where those things are. We need to know landforms and why the landforms that people had to do things over, like trek over or explore, are important based off of how things have changed as well. So let's kind of get into some important vocabulary that you're going to need for our entire year in social studies. We're going to start today with, I think, 5 different words, and then we're going to talk a little bit about direction. When we get done, you're going to go ahead and go on into Seesaw and do an activity, and then you're done with social studies for the day. So let's get into it. Ready? What do you think our first word might be? If you're like me, you might be wondering, well, what is geography in the first place? And geography is kind of a lot of different things. It can be the study of people, it can be the study of cultures, it can be the study of landforms. But the way that we're going to talk about it is, as a whole, geography is the study of the Earth or our physical planet and everything that encompasses what our Earth is. So that includes the people and the cultures and the food and the landscape and all of those kind of things. So our first word that we're defining is geography. So it's the study of the Earth. The next word that we are going to talk about is absolute location. Now, absolute location is the idea that our Earth, and I've got 2 globes over here and the one way over there, that one, our Earth is split into these long lines that are going up and down, and those long lines are called longitude. Our Earth is also split into these invisible horizontal lines, and these horizontal lines are called latitude. And what happens is when we take those longitudinal lines and the latitudinal lines, we get what's called an exact location. So we can pinpoint any place on the Earth, including right in the middle of the ocean, by using the absolute location, which is the exact location on Earth using latitude and longitude lines. Okay. Well, next term that we are going to define is called geographic terms. Now, geographic terms is actually kind of a weird and boring word to define. And it kind of means all of these words right here. And this picture is kind of hard to see, but we've got waterfalls, we've got plateaus, we've got mountains, we've got rivers, we've got all of these different things. And geographic terms are basically the generic terms that we use to describe something found on Earth. Could be a waterfall, could be a river, could be a cliff. It's just generic terms. It's a bunch of different words. Now, as we get a little bit narrower, when we're trying to define what is on our planets, we've got all of this big, broad, all of the types of things that are on our Earth. And then we go into something called landforms. We've got all of these different things, these geographic terms. And then we get landforms. So now we're talking about just what are called landforms. Now, landforms you might remember from 4th grade. We've got beaches, we've got hills, mountains, islands, inlets, all of these different things. All of these are called landforms. So landforms are physical features on the Earth's surface, including down underneath the water. So I put a couple of examples like a mountain or a valley, volcano, those kind of things. Now, when we get even more specific, the second to the last vocabulary word that we're going to talk about is, so we've got geographical features, then it narrows it down into landforms, and now we're going to narrow it down even further. So when we start getting specific landforms, that's when we start talking about landforms that are named. So like Lake Superior is named, or the Mississippi River is named. These are specific landforms that have names. So physical features are specific. So it goes geographic, landform, physical features. Okay. And then I have a little map. I think these are types of maps that I had to draw when I was your age, where we had to literally draw the Mississippi River. And I still remember to this day that the states that the Mississippi River touches are Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, and it looks like an elf, and that elf's name is called Mimel. And I'll show you this later this year. So we've got our Earth's physical features. Now, the very last word that we're going to define also is part of your activity that you're going to do on Seesaw. And we're going to talk about what is a compass. Some people say compass. I say compass. I think it's kind of like a tomato thing, but it might be because I'm from the South. I don't know. But anyway, so this is a compass. And what is a compass? And a compass is this thing. Now, this thing is a navigational tool that has been around for a long time. Like, it's been around for longer than 2,000 years. And it's a tool that uses the magnetic force of the Earth to always point towards north. And you can see this little like arrow right here. It's pointing, even though it's not pointing on the compass to north, that arrow is pointing in the direction of whatever north is. So if where the blue is north, the red is south. And then depending on which way you are facing is the direction that you're in. So how do we know these directions that we're in? Well, there's a couple of different types of directions. The first one are called the cardinal directions. And these are the easy ones that you should know by now, but if you don't, I have a little mnemonic device to help you remember those. But the cardinal directions are easy. They're north, south, east, and west. Now, when I was your age, I had a really hard time remembering which direction they went in, particularly because my teacher taught it just the exact same way that I taught you, north, south, east, west. That doesn't really help me when I'm trying to figure out north, east, south, west. So I was taught this: never eat soggy watermelon. Maybe it'll help you, maybe not. Come up with your own. So we've got the main directions of north, east, south, and west. But there's these directions in between. Now, these directions in between are called intermediate directions, and they're the ones that are in between. Now, they're fairly easy to remember because it's kind of a combination of two because it's in the middle. And we've got northeast, we've got southeast, we've got southwest, and we've got northwest. So you might hear a lot of those directions when you hear about weather, like the wind was blowing 10 miles an hour southeast, or the hurricane was approaching the northeast part of our country, or the fires have been affecting the northwest and western part of our country. So these are called the intermediate directions, and they're in between our cardinal directions. And the biggest thing to remember is that we always say north or south first. So we wouldn't say like east north or eastern north. We would say northeastern. So we always say north or south first. That's it, guys. We're going to head on over to Seesaw and define our words and then put those directions into our compass that is on Seesaw. Hope you have a great day.